The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
I see you. This is Perched on the top rope. And I'm the boogeyman. And I'm coming to get you!
The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
This is Perched from WWF Wrestling Superstar, and I'm talking to a man from Perched on the Top Rope.
Welcome everyone to Perched on the Top Rope. I am your host, former dirt sheet writer from Ringside News, from the Daily DDT, the Richest, the Sportster, and Sportskeeda. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Lee Walker, and Virgil, I'll never take your phone number out of my phone, buddy. Thank you for that show opener. Rest in peace, bud. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have some wrestling news to discuss, and let's just jump right in to AEW. Now, when Daniel Garcia had shown back up on AEW during the MJF vs. Will Ospreay match for the international title at All In London, costing MJF the match, allowing Ospreay to reclaim the title, I had thought that Daniel Garcia had re-signed a contract with AEW because he'd been off TV, and apparently, there had been talks of that there might be contract negotiations. He's re-signed, and of course then we see him show up and we think that he is #all elite. And that might not be the case, ladies and gentlemen. Now, following that incident, he did lose to MJF at All Out. And even Dave Metzler had something to say about this, as far as Daniel Garcia's status with AEW, as his current contract with AEW expires in October. That's only 2 weeks away, ladies and gentlemen. And on the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio with Dave Meltzer, he discussed the latest going on, saying, yes, it has everything to do with that, meaning AEW not using him on TV because he had not re-signed with the company. I don't think that they want to put him on TV until he makes the commitment. And I get it. Why? You can use the TV time for people who are signed. As far as what's going to happen with him, I would say that the almost surety or the strong confidence that he was signing, I wouldn't say that it's as strong. I wouldn't say that he's leaving either. But it's not as strong as it was a month ago. He may leave. The fact he didn't sign before the last pay-per-view was one that is like, hey, wait a minute. Why didn't he sign before the last pay-per-view? It made a difference. So, could Daniel Garcia still leave AEW? His contract is apparently up in just a few weeks. So let's stay on top of that one, because he has not won since he's been back, and I was fairly certain that he had re-signed. And while we're speaking about AEW, Ethan Page spoke with Chris Van Vliet discussing a variety of topics, including his AEW departure. And here's what he said. It was time to leave AEW, that is. I wasn't getting what I magically got in NXT, which is an opportunity to show what I bring to the table. This here, to me, is preparation meets opportunity. And the amount of preparation I got is a lot. 17, 18 years of preparation. So, there it is, folks. He left because he wasn't getting opportunity. I mean, not a lot of young guys are, but I am happy that AEW does have a running amount of stars to utilize and storylines coming up. Because when it comes to storylines, we are seeing a lot of them happen, and especially recently. And fans, I'm sure as you know, that tomorrow is AEW Grand Slam. Now, this is being done, I believe, in a 2-part series this year, as there is AEW Grand Slam Dynamite and there is AEW Grand Slam Collision. Now, tomorrow night is AEW Grand Slam Night 1 on AEW Dynamite, and we have a few matches, and I'm going to talk about those right now, as the Young Bucks. Matt and Nick Jackson will take on Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. I'm honestly expecting the Young Bucks to win that one. For the AEW Women's World Championship, we have Mariah May, the champion, taking on Yuka Sakazaki. For the FTW Championship in an FTW rules match, we have the champion Hook taking on Roderick Strong, who will have Matt Taven and Mike Bennett by his side. In a singles match, we have Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness. And in a singles match for Darby Allin's AEW World Championship opportunity, which the winner will face Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship at Wrestle Dream. Jon Moxley will take on Darby Allin. Now I'm going to say it's going to be the Young Bucks, Mariah May, Hook, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley. I am expecting a swerve to be in there. I'm not sure what championship match. Now for AEW Grand Slam Night number 2, ladies and gentlemen, on AEW Collision, which will air September 28th. In a lumberjack strap match, Jeff Jarrett takes on Hangman Adam Page. We have a Soraya's Rules match. The rules of the match are only Saraya is allowed to use weapons, use closed fists, use hammerlocks, use outside interference, not make use of the traditional 10 count, and use rope breaks. And the winner receives an autographed copies of Soraya's autobiography, as Jamie Hayter takes on Saraya, and the odds are stacked against Jamie Hayter for this match. We have an AEW Continental Championship Eliminator match. If Sammy Guevara loses, he can no longer challenge Okada for the title for as long as Okada is champion. If Guevara wins, he will receive a match for the title at Dynamite's 5th anniversary show. There's a lot of stipulations going on in some of these matches, as it is Okada, the AEW Continental Champion, taking on Sammy Guevara. We have a Tornado Trios match, as the conglomeration of Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy will take on the Learning Tree of Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith. We next have a triple threat match as the Beast Mortos versus Hologram versus Dralistico. And in an open challenge for the AEW Championship, the TNT Championship, Jack Perry against a person to be announced. So Grand Slam is looking to be a awesome card. Now remember, fans, that starts tomorrow night and Saturday. It's going to be amazing. Now, the only thing I want to talk about when it comes to WWE is on September 25th, tomorrow, also, Vince McMahon's Netflix docuseries will start. And from what we know about this documentary, it is pretty controversial, as Vince McMahon attempted to purchase the Netflix docuseries about him to prevent it from being broadcast. As it's been reported this week, on September 25th, Netflix will release its Mr. McMahon docuseries consisting of 6 one-hour episodes of the former WWE chairman. On today's edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that McMahon tried to block the docuseries release by purchasing it, saying Vince obviously realized that this documentary was going to be different from what he had imagined it to be. This was before the Netflix deal with WWE, which was signed January this year. He had apparently tried to buy the documentary, which basically was to kill it. You know the rights. You know, buy the rights to kill it. Like a lot of media does. Or a lot of rich people do with unfavorable media at times. And Netflix turned him down. And then he tried to get Ari Emanuel to do the same to get the thing killed, but that didn't work. So here we are. Now, on Twitter, Vince McMahon himself had finally gotten on a social media platform, which he hasn't done much of. And since he couldn't buy the docuseries out, he made a tweet in regards to the documentary that's being done about him and had the following to say on social media. I don't regret participating in the Netflix documentary. The producers had an opportunity to tell an objective story about my life and the incredible business I built, which were equally filled with excitement, drama, fun, and a fair amount of controversy and life lessons. Yeah, to say the least. Unfortunately, based on an early partial cut I've seen, this stock falls short and takes the predictable path of conflating the Mr. McMahon character with true self, Vince. So was it Vince that shit on the girl's head, or did Mr. McMahon shit on the girl's head? Okay. The title and promos alone make that evident. A lot has been mispresented or left out entirely in an effort to leave viewers intentionally confused. the producers will use typical editing tricks without of context footage and dated sound bites, etc., to distort viewers' perception and support a deceptive narrative. In an amount to further their misleading account, the producers use a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon. I hope the viewer will keep in mind and remember that there are two sides to every story. So is that why Janelle Grant can't openly talk about what the hell is going on? Like the fact that Vince McMahon or Mr. McMahon or Vince, whoever the fuck he wants to identify himself as, shit on this girl's head? Seriously, this is the weakest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. You can say whatever you want about biased journalism or anything like that, dude. The man knows. He can say a character or whatever, but Mr. McMahon and Vince seem to kind of go hand in hand. Now, following this, the former WWE chairman, Vince McMahon, is no longer working with the PR firm that has been representing him, as Brandon Thurston has reported that McMahon is no longer being represented by Citric and Company. He's been working with them since April of this year. Citric and Company has represented such clients as of late Kobe Bryant, Roy Disney, Pepsi, and many others. When asked why the relationship between McMahon and the firm ended, Michael Citric simply said, "With the respect to clients, we don't comment beyond we are no longer working together." As the Mr. McMahon docuseries will premiere on Netflix at midnight tonight, so we'll be able to watch this at midnight. McMahon issued his statement on Monday, calling an early cut he saw the docuseries misleading. I don't think it's going to be that misleading, to be honest with you. I really don't. Like, I don't see it being that way. Now, I'm going to switch over to what seems, WWE just seems to be full of crime. Even though this isn't directly related to WWE, former WWE Hall of Famer Nikki Bella, a.k.a. Nikki Garcia, her husband, Artem Chivinskov, won't be charged with domestic violence. On Tuesday, Napa County District Attorney Allison Haley announced that her office has declined to file criminal charges after reviewing the investigation and evaluating all the evidence. Haley says her office feels it doesn't have the evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Artem committed a crime. With that being said, criminal charges could be filed in the future if new facts or evidence come to light. Now, Artem was arrested for felony domestic violence on August 29th. He was released on a $25,000 bond later that day. Garcia has since hired a divorce attorney. She is currently living with their 4-year-old son, Mateo, in the family's Napa Valley home. And Chigvinstev, whatever his I can't pronounce it, Artem is reportedly still living with a friend. So he's not going to be charged with anything as there's not enough evidence. So then what the hell really happened? What's going on? I would like to know. I really would. Fans, make sure you go to youtube.com/Vince YouTube.com/Perched on the Top Rope or YouTube.com/Perched on the Top Rope. We are very, very close to being able to monetize on Facebook. We have awesome interviews with Jake the Snake Roberts, Booker T, Kevin Sullivan, rest in peace, Virgil, rest in peace, Yoshitatsu, Ultimo Dragon, Sonny Ono, and more. It's youtube.com/Perched on the Top Rope. You can also listen to those interviews and other podcast episodes on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitch, Podbean, Podbay, Red Circle, you name it, we're there. But go to Apple Podcasts, drop a 5-star review for us. Because remember, spoiler free's the way to be. I'm out.